Well, what a way to commemorate India's 74th Independence Day. MS Dhoni decides at the age of 39 years and 39 days that this is enough. 538 international appearances, 98 of them in T20Is, including a famous and first World T20 win in 2007. 350 of those in ODIs, including a World Cup win in 2011 on home soil, as well as that game in Manchester a little over a year ago. MS Dhoni calls time in his own style, in his own way, at 19:29 hours on India's 74th Independence Day. Going henceforth, we will not see Dhoni again in blue. Let's react to that news. Sanjay Manjrekar is here. I remember 7 years back, we got onto this sort of call in the gloomy, dusty time of the evening when Tendulkar announced his retirement. He was still to have a two-test match series that we'd enjoy to celebrate and appreciate Tendulkar one last time in India colours. We won't get that with MS Dhoni, Sanjay. But this news, to some degree, it's got that dichotomy. It's got that bittersweet feeling.
Yes, I distinctly remember when he retired from Test cricket in 2014 after two Test matches in Australia as captain, and then Virat Kohli took over. And we were hosting a show for Star Sports in their studio. And suddenly, as we're winding up the day, we get this news that Dhoni has announced his retirement from Test cricket. And that was a real shocking thing because he was still, contributing so well as a batsman. In fact, the tour before that to England, I thought he spent as much time on the cricket field as some of the main, batsmen in the team. So it came as a real surprise. And I remember also saying on air at the time that I'm feeling really sad because, I've always been a huge admirer of Mahendra Singh Dhoni. And I remember feeling everything had become gloomy. Dhoni retired, surprise. This was a little more expected because he hasn't played international cricket for a while. 2019 July was his last 50 overs international. Jan 2019 T20. So this was speculated. So not as much of a surprise, but you can imagine the impact of Dhoni, the personality, this figure in Indian cricket, that even though this was expected, he hasn't played international cricket for a while. The whole nation is buzzing at night at 9:30, 10. Every media platform is talking Dhoni. So this is, the charm of the man. He's just this huge force in Indian cricket.
So let's talk about what made that happen. What made him become this force that even after a year of what looks like a self-imposed sabbatical from international cricket with all sorts of conversation on where is Dhoni's future for India, will he be picked, will he not, selectors having to eventually say that no, we're looking beyond him. Even after it was expected that MS may never play for India again, when he has announced it, there's this news or this feeling that will overcome everything else. So what made Dhoni that?
Yeah, I've got a niece who's always been a Dhoni fan, and she was actually crying. She spoke to my wife and she was crying. She said exactly what you said. We all knew that the time was near. He's going to quit. He hasn't played for a while, but that is Mahendra Singh Dhoni. And, I keep saying that maybe sometimes, you can become the best player in the world and become, the top executor of skills, but stardom and this kind of, impact that you make on others, it's something that just happens with some people. So that is what happened with Mahendra Singh Dhoni. He was never a guy who looked for attention. Attention came to him. The people just loved him and embraced him the first time they saw him as captain in that 2007 World T20 win. Just the way he carried himself, because it was unique. He was a guy so much in control, calm, young man. Group photos on the big stage is always in the sight somewhere. He gets a young man to hold the trophy. In flights, when he gets business class seats, he lets the fast bowler sit in business class, goes back to economy. And this is something that he's done quietly. So this is a guy who became a star without really trying too hard. And why he is such a force, as I called him, is because he was not just a player. He was a damn good batsman. I think one of the great all-time limited overs batsmen as well, but as captain. And that is something, where a captain has this, captain makes a huge difference. He makes a greater impact on the game than just a batsman or a bowler. When you look at Pakistan cricket, who was the guy who made the greatest impact in Pakistan cricket? There were better bowlers than Imran Khan, better batsmen than Imran Khan, but was there a better captain? And that's the same thing with Dhoni as well. His leadership is what really made Dhoni this mega, not just a superstar. Ronak, I used to see him during the IPL just land up at any airport, and suddenly he's whisked away by security and some people around him, and he's just taken away from the rest.
Yeah.
It was just things that happened to him differently. He never wanted it, nor did he. He was always somebody who underplayed everything.
Yeah, I think
It
there are a
all
couple of
just
things.
came to him, that kind of attention and that.
Absolutely. I think there are a couple of things that really stand out. One, that you say that here is a man who never sought the limelight, but it just came to him so easily. And the other about his captaincy. So let's talk about both of those. And I'll start with his captaincy. You and me often talk about captains with a lot of passion in Indian cricket. And we tend to want to put in perspective what was the actual impact of a captain in a certain era. And we talk about Saurav Ganguly. We always say one of his biggest strengths was picking up captaincy at one of the toughest times in Indian cricket and how he was able to restore the image of Indian cricket. You look at MS Dhoni, it's a different sort of tough time, but it was a tough time. India had come back from a very disappointing World Cup. There was all sorts of toxicity left over from the Chappell era, and here comes MS Dhoni with, if India don't win that tournament, if they don't do as well in 2007, all of a sudden maybe the mood on Indian cricket stays on from that era, and all of a sudden it all changes because of what Dhoni brings in, and then he just makes the next few years his own. So what is Dhoni's legacy for you as captain? Because that's how a lot of people even remember him now. There are posts that I'm seeing on his Insta announcement saying, "You will always be my captain." And that's the sort of feeling. Virat Kohli has been captain for 3 or 4 years, and with no disrespect to Kohli, MS Dhoni still has that sort of feeling in Indian cricket fans' hearts that this is our captain.
Right, I'm going to go back because this is a very special moment, and as I'm talking about it, I'm getting a little emotional. My answers are getting pretty long because of that. So when you're talking about captaincy, I just want to go right back because these days people are talking about a couple of captains in Indian cricket. I want to go right back to the days of Ajit Wadekar. Let's not forget these people because we are talking Indian cricket. It's really unfair that with passage of time you forget certain people. So Ajit Wadekar, with those wins in the West Indies and England, it was a huge boost for Indian cricket. I mean, the kind of reception those people got when they came back showed what a great impact those wins made. That made Indians believe that they could win away from home. So those triumphs are important. Then Sunil Gavaskar's mini World Cup win in Australia, beautiful. It was great to watch the team come together. There was not one single performer. And then Kapil Dev does the 1983 against all odds and wins in England, wins in Australia. So, all of them periodically made a great contribution. And then Saurav Ganguly came post 2000. I thought Saurav Ganguly's greatest contribution to Indian cricket was that it, as you said, it came at a very difficult time. There was this cloud of match fixing, and Indian cricket got a really bad name. And here was a captain who came out and answered questions about match fixing and assured the cricket fans in the world that you'll see a clean Indian cricket team, and that is what Saurav Ganguly gave. It was very important at that stage because there were a lot of disenchanted cricket fans. Even today, there are a lot of people who tell me that after those days I really stopped watching cricket. So Saurav Ganguly brought a clean image to Indian cricket, and also during his time he had all these outstanding performers who were performing well away from India as well. So Saurav Ganguly's India started competing better overseas. But what did Dhoni bring was a champion-like performance on the big stage. Under Saurav Ganguly, India still had the nerves on the big night, the World Cup final 2003. You could see those nerves getting the better of the Indian team. But Dhoni, when he was compared, he stood out amongst all the captains in world cricket, that come the big night, the big stage, if there was one man who could hold his nerves and bring calmness or feel calm, he might be feeling nervous and excited inside, but to hold that calm demeanor, I think Dhoni was the man. And that demeanor that he had just brushed on to the rest of the team. So Dhoni brought calmness to Indian cricket. So it wasn't like coming close to a win and then getting jittery and excited and letting go of a match that they could have easily won. It became the reverse. Actually, India started winning from losing positions. So winning on the big stage was Dhoni's legacy, and that's why he's had all these titles that you see. It's an incredible record for a captain to have 2 World Cup wins. There's a Champions Trophy in there as well. Tremendous.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's further emphasized with the fact that we have this conversation these days about India being such a strong team and not being able to go that final distance or being able to win a trophy. That it's actually not easy to win trophies, and that Dhoni managed to achieve three significant ones, three ICC events in his span as Indian captain. Just goes to show how good he was. Now, the other thing I wanted to talk to you about was Dhoni the player. And we all know the story now. It's been well documented in cricket literature. It's also been showcased in a very successful biopic. And we all know about what Dhoni was. He was different, right? There was no template that MS Dhoni could say, this is a player that I looked at, and that's how I shaped my game. That's how I kept wicket. That's how I batted. This is a player that decided this is his way. He played tennis ball cricket. He had all sorts of unorthodoxy, unconventionalism, and now that has become the template for so many young people going forward. He's changed things, and I look at you now as a broadcaster for so many years, someone who's been such a sharp voice on analysis in the game, being in some ways proven wrong. That there is somebody who has come up with his own ways, and now you have to change your views and say, all right, this can also work. So tell me a little bit about that. How unique was Dhoni?
See, Dhoni learned cricket on his own. He played a lot of cricket, on the grounds in Ranchi, softball cricket, and people underestimate the 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 advantages that a cricketer gets from playing those competitive softball matches. So that is where Dhoni was made on those, maidans in Ranchi, and he learned to play cricket in a certain manner. There's another very important thing about Dhoni, and I had this opportunity to shoot a commercial with him, so I had plenty of time with him, and I just wanted to know one important, key to his success. What would that one reason be as to why he's become such a successful cricketer and leader? And he said, knowing your limitations. And I thought that was a pretty, cliched answer. But what he was trying to say, then he elaborated. He said that if I had pursued any other profession or any other sport and wanted to excel at it, maybe I would not have. I knew at cricket I would be able to excel and reach the highest level. So he was very smart about an area where he could excel. So that is where the smartness was to begin with. And yes, he hasn't watched people in the past or emulated their techniques like we were modeling our game on Sunil Gavaskar. Tendulkar was a huge fan of Viv Richards, mentioning Dhoni. And I asked him once, whether he's seen Shivarama Krishnan bowl because he was sitting with me and Dhoni was just there at this airport lounge, and he said, no, I've never seen him bowl. So he learned cricket his own way, and that's how he played. So he wasn't shackled by convention. Helicopter shot, hitting sixes is his sort of legacy to the game, and stumping, those stumping with those gloves so close to the bail, saving those precious seconds difference between a batsman being out and not out. Those are all Dhoni's contribution to the coaching manual of cricket. But finally, I think it is about just winning matches and working within the limitations. So I don't think we will ever get a captain. They say never say ever, but a captain who with limited resources could get winning performances and go on to win the big prize. I think that is where Dhoni is unique, and I've said this many times before. Give Dhoni a under 19 team as well, and he'll make that team, compete with some other major teams as well. So that's where Dhoni is excellent with limited resources. I mean, it's his, contribution to CSK with the kind of teams over the years is just a proof of that, exactly that. I've lost you, Ronak. If you're talking to me, I've lost you.
All right, I think
Yeah.
I think I've got you back right now. Yeah, brilliant. So I think I'm going to ask you one last question before I let you go, and it's a question that I think would resonate in the hearts of a lot of Indian fans. When I say we, I mean Indian cricket fans. We've had a lot of great batsmen. We've seen Gavaskar, we've seen Tendulkar, we've seen Kohli. We tend to see great spinners over the eras. We've seen great fast bowlers, potentially great fast bowlers. Will we see another MS Dhoni?
The whole package, very difficult. Because
Yeah.
when you look at his test record, he was a decent keeper in the end. He was a much improved keeper as his career went on. Average of almost 38 for a keeper, captain, batsman. That's pretty good. Um, 50 overs average of 50, strike rate 87, T20 average 37, plus being the captain that he is. So this complete package, uh, you know, I, I've lived long enough to know that, we thought after Sunil Gavaskar, who's going to sort of replace him, and Tendulkar came in. Sunil Gavaskar finished in 87, Tendulkar came in 89. Tendulkar finished, and we've got Virat Kohli now challenging all his milestones. So who knows? But this is a very difficult sort of, combination to get.
Yeah.
One of the greatest, finishers in the game, a very good test player, average of 38 is brilliant, plus a captain to go with it, and plus a captain who is the calmest of the lot on the world stage on the big night. So those kind of ingredients in one dish seems very unlikely.
All right. I mean, regardless of whether we do see a great Indian wicketkeeper batsman going forward, and one hopes for the sake of Indian cricket, you'll see one sooner rather than later. It's fair to say there will never be another MS Dhoni. Sanjay Manjrekar, thank you very much. The only issue that I think we leave with is that if you've seen his Instagram post, I think the only axe to grind is that he's parted ways with a Mukesh song and not a Kishore Kumar song that would have perhaps been perfect as far as you go. He's actually, I don't know if you've seen his Insta post, he's played the backdrop of Main Pal Do Pal Ka Shayar Hu in the video that he's announced it. So perhaps,
and also at a CSK gathering, he actually mentioned that song or sang that song. So that song is very close to his heart. Maybe he likes the song, but if you ask him his favorite singer, it might be Kishore Kumar.
I'm sure it is exactly that. Sanjay, thank you so much. It won't be long before we get your thoughts again. Thank you very much, Sanjay Manjrekar, joining us.
Thanks.
And we're going to try and get as many voices, as much of a reaction as we can. This evening, this Saturday night is MS Dhoni's party. It's now long gone about India's Independence Day. It's now an IPL to look forward to, but it's an IPL where we know for sure now that MS Dhoni will not feature for India in blue again. Now, as we continue this conversation, I'm delighted to welcome the who's who of ESPN Cricinfo, Senior Assistant Editor Shamya Dasgupta now joins me. Shamya, MS has always had this. Sharda Ugra joins me as well, Senior Editor of ESPN Cricinfo. Sharda, Shamya, this thing about MS is that he always keeps journalists on their toes. You can't ever think that it's a Saturday night, it's 4 months into a lockdown, it's Independence Day. MS Dhoni will give you reason to have to get back to work. Shamya, all yours.
Certainly not what we had planned for this Saturday evening, Ronak. Thanks for introducing us. And Sharda, I hope you're here. And just to take off on what Ronak just mentioned, Sharda, drama. You think on the one hand Dhoni wants to keep it understated, no big hoo-ha, no big announcement, just walking away quietly. But at the same time, there's so much drama attached to each of his retirements, and there have been a few of them already.
Yeah, go on, Shamya.
Sharda, if you can hear me. I was just saying that you think that
Sharda in just a bit. I think Sharda's not with us just yet. But yeah,
okay, why don't you tell me about the drama, Ronak? Just that you think he wants to keep it low profile, but he clearly doesn't.
Let's put it that way, right? We were discussing for about 15-20 minutes on the Cricinfo WhatsApp group. Is this news for real, right? I mean, are we making sure? Because look at it. It's come up in such a cryptic manner from 1929 hours, consider me retired. There's a video of a montage and we're trying to think, all right, is this for real? So that in itself is drama. It's Dhoni's drama and it's not a press conference. I thought Saurav Ganguly you couldn't beat that. He randomly says in the last line of a press conference, oh, by the way, I'll be retiring at the end of this. And you thought you couldn't beat
just
that.
One more thing, lads. Yeah.
And MS Dhoni has just raised it.
Okay, yeah, if you want to call it that, it's certainly, it's a tricky one. And like many other things, as has always been the case, Ronak, he's left things a bit open-ended. We are interpreting that it's international retirement. He hasn't quite said it. We understand he's going to play the IPL this year and possibly the next year because Srinivasan and Kasi Viswanathan have both said that. But he's not made it clear. And that's only one part of it. The other part is that Suresh Raina decides if Dhoni retires, so do I.
Yeah. I'll be honest with you. After the recent news, Shamya, that we got that the ICC has decided that the next year's T20 World Cup would stay in India and that this year's postponed World Cup would then be rescheduled for Australia in 2022, part of me actually felt maybe we've not seen the last of Dhoni. I was for certain, wherever I've spoken, I've said, no, there's no way Dhoni's going to play for India. If he wanted to play for India, he would have featured at some point in the last 12 months after the World Cup semi-final, but he didn't. All of a sudden, with the news of the World Cup coming next year, I felt maybe Dhoni would be tempted. The World Cup is now in India next year. It's a T20 World Cup. I'm sure he'll be able to pull on if he plays another couple of IPLs, which we all think he will. So all of a sudden, I do feel like while this news was expected, maybe there could have been another twist or another turn. I don't
Yeah,
know.
really, Ronak, you wonder what's changed in
Yeah.
the last 6 months or 8 months or since the World Cup final, last year's World Cup exit for India. What's changed? Why now? What do you? I mean, I know it doesn't mean anything, but it's fun to speculate.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. It like I think we've seen one of our colleagues, Shashank, put out that this relieves a lot of IPL commentators of this tension that they would have had. What do they say when they see MS Dhoni walk out? Can they comment on his international future at all? Now all of a sudden they breathe a sigh of relief. But let's talk about what fun it was covering Dhoni. Right, there was this huge up and down of Dhoni in his prime versus Dhoni, who had become this player that was in his own rights just playing the game he wanted to play. He was at times stubborn about his approach in ODI cricket, the way he used to pace innings, and while it was successful at first, perhaps it wasn't as things went on. He's been he's kept journalists very excited, I must say, over the time of his career, because it's been that sort of career. It's been so many highs, and yet when you had to try to challenge Dhoni, you were wondering, can we really challenge him? Because in the end of the day, sometimes or more often than not, he ends up proving you wrong.
Yeah, he does. I mean, I was just thinking when it came to Dhoni, and I was thinking of Kapil Dev really as the one other cricketer who might have stretched his retirement a bit, stuck around for a bit too long. I was just wondering, and towards the end, Kapil Dev really didn't have anything left in him, and with Dhoni, he isn't who he was. Of course, no one is after when you're getting on a bit and grey around the ears as much as Dhoni has. But you still think he's got something in that tank. He's not quite finished the way some outstanding cricketers over the years have been. And yeah, you're right. It's been quite a ride. Dhoni, the T20 captain, and then taking over elsewhere, letting two of his former captains get a bit of taste of captaincy as they signed off when he was captain, Ganguly and Kumble. Doing tremendously well with a number of cricketers backing them, and really more than perhaps any other modern day limited overs captain. I don't know if I'm overstating this because of the moment, but he might have defined limited overs batsmanship and wicket keeping and captaincy in a way that no one else has. What do you say?
Yeah, I mean that's the thing with Dhoni, right? I remember making an IPL prediction a couple of years back saying CSK will finish last till date. I don't think I'm welcome in Chennai. But it was that sort of thing. And I'll go back to a story of this. Those in Cricket Info would know this, that it was this team that Chennai picked when they came back to the IPL in 2018 that defied all cricketing logic. Right? There were too many retired players, Daddy's Army, Dad's Army, whatever you want to call it. You felt there were far too many squads that were better equipped on paper to actually go on and win the IPL. And I was worried about that team. And Akash Chopra rightly points out after that, you don't need to be the best team to actually win the IPL. You need to just, it's one of those things. And if I have to take away something from it, it is simply that Dhoni managed to defy cricketing logic more often than not and end up just doing things his own way. On that note, Sharda Ugra finally joins us. If I could get hold of Sharda, senior editor of ESPN India. Sharda, I hope you're with us. I think you're just trying to stabilize a connection right now, which is perhaps crashing because you can't control yourself at MS Dhoni's sudden and shocked retirement on India's 74th Independence Day. Welcome, Sharda. First thoughts from you. No more MS in blue. We expected it. But even then, there's a bit of drama in the way he's announced it.
Absolutely. Like literally, I'm sitting here with my computer balancing precariously on my knee. I'm sitting in front of the router because it all crashed. But the whole thing is, this is very much a Dhoni excitement kind of moment where he sort of sees the news, the news of the day, and he's sort of deciding how it's all going to play out. This is, the guy who's, I'm very cool and I don't care about these things and all. Of course, he knows how to make an impression and make fans sort of be crying. And plus, it helps him that England and Pakistan has been rained out for a very long period of time. So all the cricket fans that just wanted some cricket now have MS Dhoni to remember and to appreciate and to talk about. He's just an enormous presence. And the point is, everyone was going on about the 1929, which I think is, maybe it's because it was a minute before he started practice for CSK, as one of our colleagues was discussing. But yes, expected, but a massive departure. And when a great player leaves, and a player of Dhoni's stature and caliber, then you almost think that there's this big hole that's there, because he's always been there, if not on the field, at least in the debates and in the discussions about Indian cricket.
Yeah.
Shraddha, Ronak and I were actually talking about this a moment before you joined. It was only a matter of time, wasn't it? I mean, he hasn't been playing since the end of the World Cup. Nothing's changed. Did he have a future for India? Was it really just a formality that we were waiting for, and now it's come?
I think it was something of that kind, because of the fact that he had such almost like a waning of his powers. You could see it visibly, in the last couple of years, maybe 18 months, if I can say so, without being attacked by his fans. A waning of his powers as a finisher that he was. And we knew it, and we kept, and it's almost, it plays out like rote every time a huge player, senior player, is going to retire. It plays out like rote, that the captain will say, no, he can retire when he wants. The selectors will say, no, he can retire when he wants. And we are just sort of writing up stories every week, and every tournament, every series that comes by, we're writing the is he going to retire kind of stories. There's even an ad.
The finisher finished.
Yeah, the finish of, there's even an ad on television where he's got, I think it's insurance or mutual funds or something. He's got all these fans saying, oh, you will only play after you retire. And everyone's more bothered about my retirement. Ha ha ho. So he's even made like an ad out of it. He's even cashed in on this whole MS. Isn't he? We mustn't. That is not to say he doesn't have the right to. It's not a good thing. It's a smart thing to do. Smart sort of marketing move. And now he's gone, because also what has happened is, the moment the World T20 has gone off the calendar, what is he going to play international cricket for? When will it come back? The series against Australia, we don't know. And also the whole thing about there not being a crowd. I'm thinking, what is that going to be like for MS Dhoni? Because MS Dhoni's whole presence was this, strong, silent man walking out onto a packed Chepauk with the whistles and the screaming and the, fans going crazy. And that's not there anymore. So maybe he signed on for the IPL for a couple of seasons. And, hopefully, inshallah, after a year, we will have cricket and crowds and everything, year, 18 months, whatever it takes. And hopefully he'll still be there. But international cricket, it was always looking like it was fading away for him. But he sort of kept everyone guessing, because that's what happens. With Indian cricket, this is the thing we do with our senior players.
Yeah, with our superstars for sure. And it's worth pointing out now, MS Dhoni doesn't play first class cricket for Jharkhand. He had taken this self-imposed sabbatical from international cricket. So Sharda makes a pertinent point with the World T20 not happening this year. We were discussing before you came on, Sharda, the fact that India's World T20 continues to stay in 2021, whether that would have been added incentive for Dhoni to pull on. But I think the question to be asked here is, if we just look back, we'll talk about the good things about Dhoni, because they far outweigh any criticism that we might have. But the story around Indian superstars is, have they overstayed their time? Is this a problem with Indian cricket? Invariably, Kapil Dev or Tendulkar or a number of greats before. But you look back now and you think, if I look back at the 2019 World Cup, I was all for Rishabh Pant, but I genuinely do feel Dhoni still perhaps was the best option for India to take to that World Cup. So the question I'd like to ask both of you right now is, was Dhoni good enough, or good enough to still keep his place in the team at the time that he's now, in hindsight, retired? Till his last day, was he still good enough to play for India? Because for me, that was what kept Tendulkar apart. He was still good enough as a batsman to play as long as he did, even though there were criticisms about him. But I'd love to know what you guys make of it in terms of Dhoni towards the end of his career. Were the powers on the wane? Yes, but was he still good enough to play for India? Sharda, you first. Then Sharda.
The whole thing was, what was he there in the team for? He had this role of being the finisher, this explosive batsman. Tendulkar changed the way that he played in the sense, and he fitted in, and it worked. Dhoni playing in this way, we ended up seeing that match against England. That was the Manchester game. That just left us all completely, stupefied as to what had happened. We lost the match with 5 wickets left and 30 runs and whatever. And so then you're wondering, if that was your prime quality, and you're not able to pull it off, or you're not even close to, I'm trying to say something without just saying something absolutely defamatory, you're trying to you're not doing what you could do. And that's a very simple equation as to then what are you doing there. The whole thing with Rishabh Pant, who has had many chances and sort of flukish performances and incredible performances, he's just starting out. So he's not shown us what he's capable of doing. Dhoni's shown us the whole range, and you're seeing that this is gone. And you're saying it was awful. In a way, it was awful to see as well. It was it. Yeah, I don't know what Shamo has to say about this.
But you'll tell me what the defamatory bit was later, right, Shada? You tell me.
Definitely.
No, yeah,
You must tell us, Shama, we're trying to think
You're right.
Yeah, we're talking about timing. If the timing was now, like you said, nothing's changed in the last few months. I'm trying to think of whether if you would have announced this right after the World Cup, with the kind of heartbreak India had, in the manner in which India lost the semi-final, Sharda points out the England game, which further showed what MS Dhoni and his powers are like in present day cricket, versus now, 12 plus months on, the pandemic and whatnot. Has the timing changed what you might think of Dhoni's retirement as an Indian fan?
I wonder if, had he retired immediately after Ronak, it would have seemed like a reaction. Like,
Yeah.
this was it, and since I couldn't do anything, I failed, I'm out. And I don't think that would have been the case. And in fact, if I can just continue from your previous question into this, when Ridhiman Saha was going well in tests, or when he seemed like India's first choice test wicket keeper across the world, it seemed like, India has a replacement, has an alternative to Dhoni. But in limited overs cricket, I wonder if Rishabh Pant has proven himself to be that. And that really is the issue. Okay, Dhoni isn't who he used to be, but is he still better than Pant on ability, on potential, considering everything, what he can do and what he can't do? How much does Rishabh Pant promise, and how much does he deliver versus what you can expect from Dhoni, the sense of responsibility, blah, blah, blah. I'm no expert. I don't know which way we should go. We've obviously gone with Rishabh Pant India, and that's final, and that's the one for the long haul. Dhoni, even if he had gone on, would have gone on perhaps for another year and a half, and that's fine. I mean, I suppose that's how things evolve in life. So that part is fine. But your question is an interesting one. I mean, why delay? Why this timing? 7:29 on 15th August. It does smack of stealing many people's thunder, starting with the leaders of the country and everyone else who obviously top the headlines for the day. And come 7:30 p.m., it's just MS Dhoni.
If you ask me, if you had to pick a headline for prime time for the next few days, MS Dhoni works just fine with the sort of headlines we've been having for the last few weeks. So I'm very happy with that. But let's talk about legacy now. Let's celebrate MS Dhoni a little more. Sharda, let's talk about legacy. I had this chat with Sanjay just before you joined on, that India have had great batsmen, Gavaskar to Tendulkar to Kohli. We had great spinners. You might have potentially great fast bowlers now, but will we have another MS Dhoni? There seems to be something so unique about him that you can't just say that somebody else will come in and do the wicketkeeper batsman's job the way Dhoni did. Tell me a little bit about the legacy Dhoni leaves behind.
I mean, I easily walks into the all-time greats of every format that India have played. I mean, like easily. You're not even talking about it. It's not even a discussion. There'll be two names that will be put in first. Him and Tendulkar, in whichever order, alphabetical order, he goes first, Tendulkar goes second, or the other way around. But the whole and the fact that he was extraordinary because of all these qualities that he had. I could be wrong, but I'm wondering if India has ever seen. Maybe the older generation of journalists will call me up and just tap me on the head and say, what is wrong? Have you lost your memory? But I don't know whether India have ever seen a cricketer who had such an instinctive response to one-day cricket and limited overs cricket. Instinctive. It's like he was a mind reader in the game. And it's not that we are saying this in a fan way. Sort of the opposition says it. His teammates say it. That you can see that he knew what was going to happen. And so when you saw the stuff that happened at that World Cup game against England, that's when you were wondering, like, okay, what is going on here? This guy knows what to do. He knows he knows the tricks. He knows, give the strike over to Hardik Pandya, whoever. But just a great player. In a way, he almost created a completely different vocabulary and language for looking at crisis situations in limited overs cricket. Looking at the last over, I'm going to take the pressure to the bowler. Nobody ever thought of that. We were sitting in our sofas and thinking we were batsmen who couldn't do it, when we were watching him play. Dhoni just completely, he said, okay, it's the bowler's game to win, not mine. I can literally take it to the last ball. And he had that sort of bravado, and he had that sort of almost I play chicken with you in the last over. It's literally the last 5 overs of a chase. He literally wrote the own textbook, and we've seen people following his example now, and IPL and 2020 have all changed that. They've morphed that whole sort of drama. So just can there be another MS Dhoni? I mean, if there is, who knows what kind of player he's going to be? If there's somebody who's like an improved version of him, wow, Indian cricket is in for a good time.
Legacy of Dhoni?
That's
Shamir,
for
the legacy of
Shardha or
Dhoni?
me?
That's for you. The legacy of Dhoni, Shamir?
Yeah. I mean, just a very unique cricketer, right? A very unique cricketer who, at some level, to add to what Shardha said, no point repeating that. A lot of what he did, especially as wicketkeeper, was, bringing the gully to international cricket. Why I say that? Sticking out the leg while keeping. Looking the other way and suddenly running a batsman out, pretending that the ball is not coming to him.
The gully
And things like that, little things like that. Just taking off the glove and running Mustafizur Rahman out that time, keeping with just one glove on. And little things, those little the street parts, really, it's just that I think was, you need to have a brilliant head to be able to do these things, and the confidence, obviously, because if each of these things fail, it really looks very embarrassing. So which is what I suppose happened to Dhoni in his last few innings, where he took it to the last over, stayed there, but then couldn't do what he was always expected to do, which is so tricky, and which probably told many people not. Again, nothing defamatory. I don't want to his fans, but probably told many of us that he was closer to the end than anywhere else in his career. So legacy would be amazing smarts, amazing cricket smarts, really, that I at least haven't seen in any other cricketer. Better cricketer, certainly, more cricket, more intelligence in the traditional sense, but not the kind of smarts that Dhoni showed.
Yeah, I mean, like Shardha rightly says, if we are to see another MS Dhoni, we can't wait to see what that cricketer will look like. At this point, Hemant Balani joins us. He's shared the dressing room enough with MS Dhoni, and here we are now waking up everybody in Indian cricket who thought they were under the impression they could enjoy a Saturday evening. But Dhoni has kept all of us on our toes, Hemant, so journalists have sprung to action. Thank you so much for joining us. Just give me your first thoughts. MS Dhoni calls it time. It's a decision that was expected. The timing of it is still dramatic in its own way, which perhaps is fitting to sum up MS Dhoni's time with India.
Well, my first thoughts were Saturday evening. I was supposed to be chilling and just being by myself, and then Dhoni spoils everything. And I'm getting calls from everyone saying, "Get online, get on the show." I was just on the CNN a little while earlier. And I was hoping for a peaceful Saturday evening with the family, looking to watch a movie. But boy, that's him. That's Dhoni all the way, surprising every one of us. But if you really ask me, in all honesty, and not a surprise to me. Not a surprise to me one bit. For the simple reason that one, he would have imagined that come the World Cup now next year in 2021, will I have the legs, or will I be able to hang on till there? I think probably more than having the legs, he would have felt that he's had enough. He's had enough of it. He's played enough cricket. He's been there, done that. It's about time to just sit back at home. And at times what happens is that when you're at home for such a long time, for about 5-6 months, which is what the COVID has done to most of us, he would have probably reflected on his life and said, Dhoni the player, I think, has achieved everything. Maybe Dhoni the father, Dhoni the husband needs to be a little more at home. Spend a bit more time with the family, and he would have said that probably come this year and going forward, maybe play the IPL, maybe a year or two, which is just about 45-50 days in a year. And apart from that, let's just be at home. Maybe tinker with my bike, get my bike ready, play with the family, be with the family, play with my friends. He's got a lot of dogs. He would have just realized, everyone knows Dhoni. He's just not the cricketer. There is more to Dhoni. And for him, cricket isn't everything. Yes, it's a big part of his life. It's made him what he is. But I think Dhoni realizes, and we all do know that Dhoni has different facets to himself. It's not just about the sport. He likes other things in life. We've seen him go to the army. We've seen him train with the army. We've seen him be so media shy. You hardly have seen him tweet or put up something on Instagram the last 4 or 5 months. He's just been away. That is Dhoni. That's how he is. And you would have just felt, you know what, I'll play the IPL, and apart from the IPL, all I want to do is play with my dogs, be at home, play with my bike, play with Ziva, spend some time with Sakshi.
We've spent a lot of time talking about Dhoni's legacy, his highs, lows, and even the road forward. But since we brought that up, I'm just trying to think about Shamya and me were discussing the timing. Why now, right? You had all these months after the World Cup, and it seemed like it was going to be, inevitable at some point the decision would come. I'm just trying to think, Hemant, as someone who has followed CSK, been part of CSK, and of course commentates on the IPL every year, whether this just relaxes him before the IPL. Now that the IPL is confirmed, Dhoni's joined the CSK squad, all of a sudden he can just go out and have fun. There's no conjecture. Nobody's talking about, oh, is Dhoni eyeing a comeback and whatnot. Whether this changes the way Dhoni approaches the IPL.
Can you hear him? I think.
I've just got you back, Hemant. I've just got you back. Are you settled there? Yeah. Is everything good?
I'm pretty much settled here. So
Brilliant. Yeah. So my question, I think if you got it, would this just help Dhoni relax before the IPL? No conjecture about his international future, and perhaps that prompted the timing of the announcement.
I lost you, Ronak. I couldn't hear you.
I said the timing of the announcement, just now that the IPL camp is getting together. I'm just trying to think of whether Dhoni felt this time is good so that this just frees him up in the IPL. Otherwise, every game for CSK and Dhoni's performance will be micromanaged and scrutinized. Oh, is this with an eye on Dhoni making a comeback? All of a sudden now, he can just relax and play the IPL on his own.
Honestly, Ronak, if you ask me, I don't think he's someone who's really cared about all that. I think he would have anyways just about gone about his business. He would have just about gone about playing the game the way he's done all these years. I don't think that really would have affected his decision making. I think what would have really would have been the deciding factor is that with the World Cup being postponed, with him having spent some time at home, he would have realized that it's enough. It's enough that I just about play the IPL. There is still a little more left in the tank. I'll probably just come around in the colors of yellow, not the blue anymore. Which is a little easier in the sense that it's not long. It's just about 50-55 days in a year, maybe about 15 days of preparation before that, which he can even do at Ranchi in Jharkhand. It'll give him a lot more time to do things that he's missed all these years. He's somebody we've known that he loves his cars, he loves his bikes, he loves to travel, he likes to meet people, he loves his dogs. And I think most importantly for me, it's a question where he would have felt, I really still believe physically, I think he's still fit. I think he still has it in him to play a little longer. But I think he would have felt that it's not just about my physical capacity or my physical position right now. It's also to do with my mind. How long will I keep playing? I've played enough and more. I've been there for 15, 16 years. I think, if not mistaken, 2004 was his debut, which is about 16 years of playing cricket at the highest level, captaining the national side. We've seen him grey over the years, grey quicker with the Indian captaincy. And I would just imagine that you would have just felt that maybe I'm not enjoying that anymore. Maybe I don't want to get out there anymore. Maybe a simple thing like playing with my dogs, simple thing like playing probably with the family, being with the family is what he wants to do. And I think he's earned that. And even after the World Cup last year, he actually took a break to reassess his life and think that where he wants to go. Little did we all realize that run out Martin Guptill got Dhoni out will be MSD's last game in Indian Blues. I mean, I probably thought that he might play a little more, but as things stand, we'll have to have that as a memory as his last game.
Yeah, true. And I think, like you pointed out, there's this thing that we all know what Dhoni is like, and yet I think nobody really knows Dhoni. He's been the kind of player that has had such limited, such scrutinized access to the media. And Sharda would relate to covering so many years of cricket and thinking, of all the people that she's managed to get through to interview, understand where Dhoni would fit in that pecking order. So my final question is, Sharda and Shamya are still with us. Hemang, is what do we see MS Dhoni doing now? Do we see him staying with cricket? Do we see him jumping into the commentator's box chair and administrator's chair? Do we see him go completely away from cricket? I mean, good luck answering that question for whoever thinks they know what Dhoni's future can install. So I'll go with all of you. Sharda, you can take this first.
The wild prediction, I think he'll sort of go away, but keep coming back sporadically to be seen. Do a lot of sort of, behind the scenes sort of corporate talks in a way, and keep the brand moving. The brand has never died. The brand is an important thing in this day's world. The brand of Dhoni hasn't died. Everything hasn't sort of faded away quietly or whatever. So there will be that. He will sort of conduct his post-international cricket career like he did his career. You'll get him in sort of little bite-sized bits at a good price in some cases at these big corporate talks, but just small amounts, not massive. A few photos here and there with the army, that kind of thing.
All right. Thanks for that, Sharda. That's as subtly put as I can expect from you. Shamya, what do we expect out of Dhoni?
Well, thankfully, as with all great cricketers, it's good that he plays the IPL. We get to watch a little bit more of him. So that's nice, at least for 1 or 2 more seasons. Apart from that, you tell me, elections in Jharkhand, when are they due? He's certainly winning it if he stands for it. I something to do with the army, perhaps. These are pet loves that he has. I'm not the politics, but certainly the army. But yeah, I do see political parties making a bit of a beeline for him if elections are around the corner in Jharkhand or in Tamil Nadu.
It's
not commentary though. I don't think commentary. I don't think commentary. I don't think commentary.
Yeah, I mean, Hemang, it's the kind of question which I love to explore even further now, because if you'd have asked Indian cricket fans 20 years back, Saurav Ganguly would be BCCI president in 2020 or 2019, would people have gone, oh, that's not possible? Would have said, oh, that's expected, right? So you're trying to now project or speculate what the path of a great Indian cricketer or a former captain would be. And it seems sort of digestible. Dhoni may have a political inclination. I actually think he may be disinterested in cricket. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think he might just go away from cricket and do other things. For me, I don't see him jumping into a commentator's box chair or becoming a national selector or becoming anything, or a coach. He has an academy.
Or a coach, yeah.
He does have an academy that I know of which might just run, parallelly, but I don't see him actively interested in coaching the way around Dravid or, other cricketers tend to. So it's all speculation now. Journalists do it better than cricketers, but I'll ask you as well. Hemang, all yours.
Well, I think these two have speculated. I can see they have kind of assessed or think they've assessed Dhoni, but I'll tell you what, none of us can really assess Dhoni. Did any one of us really be honest? Think that on the 74th independence of India, Dhoni would be saying thank you very much? No. Did anyone do that in 2008 when he said thank you very much in Test cricket? No. So all I'm going to say here is that we all think we know the man, but we actually don't know the man. There is no, we're all speculating, we're all trying to assess from his past actions, past decision making, and what he's shown to the world. But I'll tell you what, knowing the person the way he has been, I think most of us will get it wrong. All I can say is that one thing that I think that I may know about Dhoni is that he will be associated with CSK. In what capacity? Something we will have to wait and see. But I think the love for CSK and the brand that he's built for himself around CSK is huge. He's loved in Tamil Nadu more than us Tamil Nadu players. He is the man. He is the real deal in Tamil Nadu. And if he really wants to stand in elections tomorrow, he has a fair chance. I really think he has a fair chance. Whether he does that or not is something which I can't tell you. But he surely has a fair chance to get on to doing something in politics in Tamil Nadu. Will he get into commentary? He has a good sense of humor. He has a good sense of timing. But will he do it? I don't know. I don't think so. Maybe not. But again, he might surprise you. Even with Sachin, I never thought he would get into doing some commentary here and there. But we've seen Sachin do it here and there. We've seen him be in the World Cup, in the comment box in the World Cup. And that stint with Viru was outstanding. I love that stint with Viru. But will he do it like Sachin did here and there? I'm not show.
Yeah,
Really
sure.
big. I think in some ways he will be in the background. He will keep churning something with the sport. But one thing I think that I know for sure, CSK will be on his mind.
Yeah, I think that's a fair bet. I think we can all agree that, like Sharda says, the brand continues to grow and the brand will never die. Brand Tendulkar remains associated with Mumbai Indians to this date. So let's not rule out Brand Dhoni continuing to have a relationship with CSK. What a day it's been. Like Hemang Badani points out, who would have thought on India's 74th Independence Day that MS Dhoni would choose this prime time, just before prime time, that he says beyond 1929 hours, that he would no longer feature for India in international colors. Like Shamya Das Gupta says, it's speculation because he hasn't mentioned international. We are assuming that it is international because he will still play for MS Dhoni. That's the cryptic nature of his post. It sums up the way that he's played for India. He's played with this mind, this sort of second guessing that oppositions have always fallen short of. He remains India's most successful white ball ODI captain. He remains a figure that will never be forgotten, will be celebrated more than he's criticized in time to come. So in the never to be forgotten year of 2020, we now have something more to add to our collection, which is that MS Dhoni had called time on his international career. Hemang Badani, thank you very much. Shamya Das Gupta and Sharda Ogra, it's an absolute pleasure. We'll get your thoughts again soon. That sums up our interaction on MS Dhoni's announcement, what's stolen the headlines today, that we won't see him in blue again. We will see him in the IPL coming forward, but we will continue this coverage on ESPN Cricinfo that sums up what's been a glorious career by the man from Jharkhand. MS Dhoni has called time on his 16-year-long international career.